Is this streaming? Is it not streaming? What is it doing? Okay, looks like it's streaming. Okay. I don't know what things are. I don't know what's going on. It was telling me I wasn't streaming, then it said it was, and then it wasn't showing me that I my updates because I updated the name. It's crazy. So we'll figure it out. I'm seeing comments, so looks like everything's okay on your end, which is the important end. Ooh, that is bright. Good morning and happy birthday to all my fellow Marines out there. 10 November, Marine Corps' birthday. 200 and let's see, we're at 250 years. Yep. So really good with that. Just dropped off little man. I've got a video that I'll be editing today of some fun stuff we did. Yesterday we went to a place in Joshua Tree that was a train museum, and it was a hidden gem for a long time. They just had a TikTok go viral about it, and I was talking to the president of the club that runs it, and he was like, he goes, ever since that, it hit TikTok, and then it hit Instagram, and he said we've had people showing up ever since, and more than they can accommodate as of right now. But their membership is going up, so that's the good thing. Um, I gave them a donation, and I will follow it up with another donation. Stop touching things. Does that include myself? So yeah, I'm going to be doing a video on that, which was a really cool, really nice thing. We enjoyed it. Um, yeah, we really enjoyed it. Um, and then what I'm trying to think of what's something else that we were discussing. There was a couple things. Oh, the shutdown is over. President needs to still sign the bill they passed into law. This is only a temporary, but it funds the government through the first of the year. So I was reading about that, which is not surprising. It's a short-term continuing resolution. The president did agree to discuss health care, which is partially what the Democrats wanted. They wanted a compromise on it, but the president said no, we'll touch that later, which I do like what the president said about these the Affordable Care Act. I don't like the subsidies. Um, they go to the insurance companies. So pretty much, which has been a criticism of mine about the Affordable Care Act all along, was that it was just a payout to insurance companies. Instead, it'll be a what I think he wants is a voucher for us to, like, for people getting it. You'd get the voucher and be able to use that towards your what other health insurance or health care plan that you do. Shinemisa says release the Epstein files. They won't be released. They are. That was a CIA, a joint CIA Mossad op. I believe that wholeheartedly, and they will not be released. They'll release some stuff about them, but nothing what people want. Um, well, yeah, the Democrats in their bill that they were proposing, the language repealed the section of Medicaid and Medicare that allowed illegals to prevented illegals to get uh, Medicaid and Medicare. That's what they were proposing, but that's the bill that passed, so that language stays in. So illegals will not get Medicaid and Medicare, at least from a federal standpoint. The problem that we have is your state places like California, right here with Medi-Cal, and that's how Medicare comes from the government, given to the states. States then distribute it. California makes it because they give illegals things like driver's licenses and birth certificates and all that stuff. Because of that, that's how our illegals are able to get Medi-Cal, and it's that's how it's poorly run. Here's the thing: people think because I'm conservative that I'm against universal health care. I am not. I am against federal government run healthcare. I've got VA healthcare. It sucks. They suck at it. But if you have a state like, Romney Care in Massachusetts, by all means, do it that way. Because corruption is always better fought at local levels. You'll get corruption here and there, but it's easier to fight when it's at a state or a local level. Um, Big states like California, which California is just too big of a state. California needs to be broken at least in half. At least in half. Most of these western states are too big. That's the downside of if they do that Greater Idaho plan, is it just makes Idaho bigger. Now, the good thing is it's a smaller population, so you can still do stuff, but you run into problems like with Nevada. Nevada is a very big state, but all the power is in Clark County. Um, So yeah, if Nevada, in my opinion, Nevada should be broken up. At least with Arizona, you have a little bit, you got more cities, but with Nevada, you've got Las Vegas, Reno, and then to a lesser extent, Carson. Um, so to me, even Nevada should be split. But I know that'll never happen. I'm a realist. At some point, your ancestors were illegal. Only Americans brag about their rights. No, that's not true. Um, the first Americans were not illegals. Um, there were many Indian nations, many. That's why that's why they have sovereignty. The Indians themselves were a nation. They're conquered now, but yeah, some of them still have some of them still have rights like nation rights because they signed treaties. Some did not. Um, you know, but yeah, like saying, "Oh, those were illegals." No, no, they weren't. Um, and here's the thing: the Indians, they did try to band together and fight the what eventually the U.S. government, not the neighbor. But yeah, they lost, and to the victor goes the spoils, and that's the way history works. You don't see the Phoenicians complaining that Greece, that they should have parts of Greece. No, they were conquered. Okay. Let me get inside, get my coffee, and we'll get on the computer. Yeah, the Native Americans here came from somewhere. They weren't always here. They actually they've done DNA studies. They came from Southeast Asia. They have more in common with Tongan people. Hi, animals. We got two cats in the house now. This is Ashy. Him and him and Kang. They used to be buddies when uh, we lived together before, and it took a little bit this time. It took a couple days of them getting used to each other again, but now they're playing and having a good old time. You have free healthcare and education, and so does France and other dozen countries. Yet we aren't as rich as the USA. You don't have okay. You don't have the diversity that we do. You're naming white countries. There's a reason why you guys are able to homogeneously agree. We have many diverse people here. And the problem with healthcare, when people say healthcare is a right, is healthcare requires the labor of another. So when you say that healthcare is a right, that other person's labor, which is slavery, and we have a very complicated relationship with slavery in this country. Now, you can have a problem with our medical insurers. Are you coming in? You can have a problem with your medical insurers, but that's because those are businesses that have, for many years, created regulatory monopolies in the United States. That's You can't have a monopoly without government assistance, or yeah, there's no such thing as free anything. Absolutely. Let me just getting this all set up here. Looking like Stone Cold's crackhead brother. Oh my god, I gotta tell my brother that one. That's funny. Normally I get either Gru or Steve Wilkos. Steve Wilkos worked for Jerry Springer. He was a security guy. What do I think of Vivek? He's going to win the Ohio governorship. That's what I think. Are your comments being blocked? No, I can see them. I'm on my phone. Bring back veteran presidents. If you send soldiers, you should have. I don't agree with that. I think I like what's his name from um, Starship Troopers, um, who said that you should. Oh, and turn that on. There you go. And get me out of here. There we go. Okay. There we go. I can see all your guys' stuff. Vivek is a scammer. No. Hindu pray to demons. Well, I mean, that's their religion. They can do what they want. I'm muted. I shouldn't be muted. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. How about that? You can hear me now? Gold Dust, your mic is off. You guys should be able to hear me now. You got me? Check. I'm trying to our school seems to skip the basics. You are as multicultural as us. No, you're not. I've been to Germany. I've been to Germany. You guys are nowhere near as multicultural as us. It's not even close. Like literally, I
I grew up in a very white area of the country, and like every week there was a different in the summer. Every week there was a different cultural festival in the area, which was not very diverse. I actually did grow up around a lot of Muslims, not a lot of Jews. So I didn't understand anti-Semitism growing up. But like now that I'm here in Southern California, oh, dude, it's not even close. I've got Vietnamese here. I've got Samoans here. Obviously, there's a huge Mexican culture here. So yeah, like the multiculturalism of Germany is not even close. Not even close. Like white people here only make up like it's like only 60% of the country. Like not even close. And there's a lot of diversity of ethnicity in those white people. Like there's Hispanic in those white people. There is Slavic in those white people. People want their land back, buy it back, just the way the U.S. did. Yeah, well, and especially now with the tribes, they could. The tribes have more than enough money because they do so much stuff with you know, casinos and whatnot. So the tribes, I think, are missing out though by not getting into the healthcare game. They could absolutely they could upend this country as it applies to Medicare, um, or not Medicare, but healthcare. They absolutely could. Why the Native Americans haven't gotten into it, I don't know. I know casinos are the easy money, but healthcare is the big money. I live in a multicultural area. We have Eastern European desert people from all over here. Yeah, and even that far north, you have a lot of Mexican culture, even all the way up in Sacramento, and you get a lot of Pacific. Well, you're a Pacific Islander, so yeah, right there. Like it's, I've traveled. I lived overseas. I lived in other cultures, and yeah, it's not even close. And here's the thing, like we are very accepting here of other cultures. Where the U.S. where I will agree with Gabrielle, I think I'm saying because Gabrielle is the name, correct? Where I will agree is that our schools do a bad job with geography, a really bad job with geography. That is where American fails, absolutely fail. Um, Yeah, I was watching the shutdown vote last night. The shutdown is over. It now has to go to the president's desk and be signed, and yeah, will be the government will be fully operational before the end of the week. Watching on your phones, tablets, double tap the screen for your likes. I appreciate that, Georgie. Hey, Audrey, welcome, welcome. Good to have you here. I didn't welcome everyone. Akash, welcome. What do I think of Indian Americans? I got no problem with Indian Americans. The do you know what the two biggest groups to have success in America is? And it's not whites. It is not whites. Whites are actually like fourth or fifth. But the two most successful groups in the United States are um, Asian Americans, surprisingly more for those who are not from China, normally Vietnam, Japan, Korea. They're one of the most successful, and Indian Americans. Indian Indian Americans, and there's a reason for that. And that's I learned, when I lived overseas, I lived in a Muslim country. People who live in countries like India, um, Syria, when they come here, they're very successful because to survive, they have to be industrious. Okay, you have to work to survive in those countries. So when you come here to the U.S. and it's work to succeed, they're used to that. So they succeed very easily, very easily. Um, and surprisingly about those numbers is it's normally the second generation who really become successful. They because their families have high standards for them. They see how easy it is to live and work and just not be in poverty here. You realize being in poverty in the US, like all these people complaining about SNAP benefits and stuff, you are ahead of 80% of the rest of the world. That's crazy. That's how and the people who will, try to bash capitalism, that's because of capitalism. Like, the more capitalism, uh, thrives, the better it is for the poor, believe it or not. Even though there may be wealth inequities and stuff like that, but all in all, yeah, because capitalism gives you upward mobility more so than any other system. I don't think they should come here and drive without a license. Absolutely, right? They should not be. No one should just be given a driver's license. You should actually have to learn the language, go through all the tests and everything. Yeah, in California is that's how bad California is. People who are like who want Gavin Newsom as the president are dumb. Like he has totally screwed this state over. And that's why I don't like things like I don't like, no fault accident laws. I don't like things like no fault divorces. No, there should be fault. There absolutely should be fault. The reason why they go to no fault is because it just makes it easier on the system. Yeah, yeah, you're 100% correct, Akash. Yeah, they're very well educated. However, there are some who've come here, who have, they expect things to be given to them. Nothing here should be given to you. You should have to work. The early Americans who came here had a saying: "He who does not work does not eat," and that was in the um, was it the Roanoke colony or the Roanoke or Jamestown? I'm getting one of them confused, but that's the way it should be. All those people standing in the lines, people were sending me stuff. Oh, look, there's bread lines in the US. All those people standing in those lines, not a one of them did I see where I was like, okay, they can't work. Those were all people capable of working. And I don't want to hear, oh, they're disabled and stuff. I'm a disabled person. I still work. Yeah, California this is a dead state. California, everyone who, well, we're the fourth biggest economy in the world. It's because of the ports. It's because of the ports. That's the only reason. It's being propped up because of the ports. If California, if you were to shut down all the ports, California would be a third world country in no time. In no time. There's not one industry. Um, you take away the ports, I don't see any industry that would keep this state thriving. Here's the thing: I got no problem with Indians because, again, if you want to come here and you want to assimilate, by all means, come. You should come here and want to be American. Uh, Uncivil Law did a video yesterday where he was critiquing a Legal Eagle um, video, and it's a very good one. Guys should go check it out. That's not a native statement. It comes from Christian scripture. Well, I mean, I can believe that, um, but I didn't think it was a native statement. I thought it came from who was it, John Smith? But I mean, it makes sense if it came from scripture. That I don't think our laws should be based in scripture, but I definitely think our morality and the way we do things should be based in scripture. And it is right now. It is. Um, Tomorrow I will be um, in the Veterans Parade. Me and Glory, we were invited. Oh, huh, interesting. I got Harbor Freight sending me stuff. Do you know any cities which have good biotech jobs, like underrated cities? Um, biotech, Florida right now, the growth is pretty crazy. Um, Texas has a lot of room for growth. I don't think Florida actually does. The Carolinas, uh, Charlotte, North Carolina, probably has a lot of biotech growth. Also, I would look around the um, the areas of Chapel Hill, Raleigh, that area, because there's a lot of that's where Duke and North Carolina universities are. So there's a lot of stuff springing up. And then actually not far from my parents in outside of Columbus in Newark, Ohio. They're putting in an Intel facility there. They're going to be building chips. And I'm seeing a lot of biotech stuff there, primarily because that's where Nationwide Insurance is based. It's based out of Columbus, and with these tech jobs, that's where a lot of the biotech jobs are going to go. In fact, here's the thing: if I was just talking to my son today, and we were talking about job outlooks, and to learn a trade in the US is actually a really good thing, but there are STEM trades too. And I'll give you an example of one. So if I told him, I said, because there were a couple things he was thinking about going to school for, and I said, look, um, if you really wanted to go into a job with a great outlook, and you do want to go to school, I said I would go get your associate's degree in electrical engineering, and then I would start a business and get all the certifications to start an elevator company, because the outlook on that is so good. Here's the thing: the amount of companies building elevators is actually shrinking, but the demand for elevators is growing. But it takes a lot of people, a lot of math, a lot of technical know-how to pass all the certifications tests. And it takes a lot of work to do that. But once you do, if you were to have an elevator company like here in Southern California, I built a billionaire's home and we put an elevator in it. And there was only two companies, only two, like in this region. And the guy that we hired, he was like, "Look, I've got so much work." He was trying to talk me because he knew I had I went for mechanical engineering for 4 years. I did eventually get my degree in journalism. Or actually 3 years mechanical engineering. I did 1 year undecided. Um, and he was like, "You could pass all the math," which I probably could. I'm like 20 years removed from calculus and all that stuff, and he's like, "If you came to work for me and got all your certifications," he goes, "in 3 years, I'd be selling my company to you." And he goes, "Trust me, there is no lack of work. He goes, "Every job I take, I can tell them, here's I name my price." But I have severe wondering if you know anything that helps besides bullshit medicine. Yes, can of mind. Try everything. Okay, try everything. If you don't have a good therapist, switch your therapist. I had to go through like 7 therapists, and I've had a great therapist for the last 3 years. But it took me. I've been in therapy for 9 years, so it took me 6 years of trying every year at least a new therapist. So keep trying new therapists. The try try things outside of the box. Um, I tried Reiki, which actually did do me some good. Reiki did good. I tried meditation. Mm, it didn't do as much for me as it did for other people. People kept trying to get me to get massages. Those just make me too uncomfortable. Reiki is about as close as I'll get to a massage. Um, I'm trying to think like some of the other stuff. What I found, one thing I found that, like I tried ASMR, it's okay, but I found that spray paint art videos calm me. They calm me. The other things I'll tell you is if you're having a PTSD attack, start thinking now about good memories that you have that you can. And I've talked about this on the show. Uh, I have like if I'm having an attack, I'll start thinking of my grandfather working on his truck. He had a Chevy truck back in South Toledo, and I remember him and my dad being out there turning wrenches, hearing the tools drop, them talking about okay, yeah, we got to do this next. But he'd always have in the background the he was a big Detroit Tigers fan. He'd have the Tigers game with Ernie Harwell in the background, and I'll start thinking about that, and I'll think about those sounds, and I'll think also about the smell of the oil, and how does that make me feel? I mean, right now talking about it, my body is tingling. Okay, it's causing me right now a physical reaction that takes me out of that space. So immediately I can calm myself down because that is a good memory for me. And I think of my grandfather, like what he looked like, what he sounded like, what he smelled like, all those things, and it's very happy memories. So immediately I can shut off the PTSD stuff and go right into this. Have a PTSD plan. Have people that you can call, that are the people that you trust. And when I say trust, I mean I had an abusive marriage. Uh, I could not trust my ex-wife. If I told her something about me that was very personal, our next fight, it was gonna be used against me. And sadly, that is how it was very early on, and it really just it deteriorated the marriage over the course of it. Like, and it didn't take very long. Like, first year of marriage, it was deteriorated, and I could not trust her. And that's ultimately why the marriage didn't work. Um, there was never gonna be any trust there anymore. Um, I That's the downside about how women argue, that a lot of women, when they get something about you, that's very personal, they will sometimes, use it to attack you. It's sad, and I wish it wasn't that way, but, there's a lot of women, so that's why Skipper's single. I will not get into a relationship with someone I don't trust. And I also do put up barriers too. So when I have gotten in a relationship because of that in the past, I protect myself. Um, so just FYI, and I'm perfectly happy being single. If I never meet the right person, I'm fine. I would much rather be with the right person than just be with somebody. Um, yeah, AVA is talking about art. AVA does uh, uh, airsoft, and airsoft can be a great thing, especially those of us for the military with military trauma. Uh, Try to figure out what the cause of your PTSD is, and actually do exposure therapy. Like, if you were sexually assaulted, okay, I do know of people who then uh when they find someone they trust, do like more things that are kind of along the lines of their sexual assault, because now you can gain control of it and gain the upper hand. A lot of PTSD is about loss of control and survival. I try to look at fossils and rocks, but you feel like somebody gonna come and shoot me. Um, yeah, just find the things that relax you. Yeah, exposure therapy is it. It'll be triggering at first, just like talking with a new therapist. You got to go through all those emotions again. But if you find a good therapist, then you just go through it once, and then you don't really have to come back to it. How do you let the words come out? Actually, journaling is really good, really good. Um, I had someone a while ago, they had me make a lifeline, like, go through the years of your life and talk about if it was good or bad. And then, like, just make it like a graph, okay? And then look at the points where it was low, and then just talk about why. Um, I can't even say it to my therapist, even the mild things. That's because you're not trusting your therapist. That is why. Um, I now have and trust me, I've been there where I had a therapist where I was like, I don't trust this person. So I didn't tell them stuff. My current therapist, I tell her everything. Like, me and her, we are, yeah, w- we are now to the point where, um, like, we're almost buddies. Like, I text her stuff, and yeah, I think of childhood friends. Yeah. Whatever your safe thing is, find it and cling to it. I don't use information against people ever. When somebody's had their tail feathers singed and plucked out hard, it's hard to. Yeah, there are people like that. There are people like that. I try not to. Um, it's hard though, especially when like I was dealing with some stuff from family. I had family members who just never listened to me, even though I give them great advice, and they did something else, and I was like, "Well, you could have done this," and they were like, "Oh, I wish I would have known." I'm like, "Yeah, it's because you don't listen to me. You listen to people who, and people. I'm guilty of this too. This is why I seek out people who tell me no and tell me I'm wrong. But when you seek out yes people, oh, sorry, my tinnitus is acting up. Um, yeah, you seek out people who you want things. So we have a tendency as a people to seek out people who are going to reinforce what we say. We're looking for yes people. Have been against that for some time. I thankfully as an officer, I did not want yes people. I wanted people to tell me, no, you're fucking wrong. And I've got TC in the chat who tells me I'm wrong all the time, and I love it. That's why I'll always value what TC and we argue. We do argue. We're like two old women who bicker sometimes, but I appreciate TC for that. Skipper's therapist needs a therapist. It's funny because after several years of being with her, she's like, "Look," she's like, "Mike, you are advanced in your therapy, but I had to be vulnerable. I had to tell her, you know, things about myself that were very uncomfortable about myself." Um, and it sucks because you do have to go through those uncomfortable truths. You do. But once you go through them, you've gone through them. And, you know, again, then you get someone um who then you can talk about anything with, and sometimes she'll be like, "Hey, don't forget about this. I don't want to see you do this." Or what she tends to do is ask me, "How do you feel about this?" From a veteran that didn't believe in therapy, therapy works. Yeah. Yeah. And when I tell people, "Hey, you need therapy," I'm being legitimate. They think I'm insulting them. No, I'm being legitimate a lot of times. Most of us do need therapy. Most of us do not need intensive therapy. Most people just need someone to talk to. Someone who is not going to just agree with everything we say. Yeah, we got people in here from okay, we got a mix. We got 31 people here on X. We got some people on Rumble. The people on Rumble, give me some comments. Same thing, we got someone watching on Facebook. I never tell you you're wrong. I'm afraid of you. I am the last person to be afraid of. Um and what's funny is I had some of the haters, and I posted about it in the ecosystem. You guys should join the ecosystem on Facebook. In the Facebook groups, join the ecosystem. I had some of the haters who were talking about me and talking about the group, and it was sent to me in a screenshot. So I posted that, and they were like, "Oh, he just needs us for content." You're talking about me. Like, me posting a screenshot of you talking about me is not me talking about you. It's me talking about you talking about me. Like, stop talking about me if you got a problem with me. Like, if you got a problem with me doing that, you don't have to talk about me. You're choosing to. So yeah, I'm going to then use that to my advantage. Okay. Come back sometime again, can of mind. I'm always happy to talk about this stuff. And I've got my number down below. So yeah, I still have the fleece to brush your teeth. I gotta change that. Did I delete the one? Um, yeah, I'll have to change it later. Yep, Veterans Day tomorrow. Like I said, I will be in the Veterans Day parade in Palm Springs tomorrow, so that'll be fun. Glory better be ready to do some walking. Um, what else we got here? Boom. Sorry. I'm j- I've just got stuff coming to me that it's like I don't need this stuff. Like Harbor Freight sending me stuff. It's like I don't need your thing every week. I think if you're a company and you're sending out weekly emails, that's too much. Too much. Companies that send me a monthly email, those I appreciate. Uh, you need to, TC, you need to start doing more things on this channel to highlight the stories that you do and drive traffic to those stories. That's what I think. I think we need to, if you need help with it, I'm happy to do that. Um, I've got some things going in the background. I've talked to some people about there's yeah, there's some stuff that I'm going to be doing that is it's great for the channel. It's great for what I want to do long term. So, yeah, like here go back to multicultural. Here was a local thing that was Dia de la Dos Muertos festival. Like, and you don't think the you don't think the US is more multicultural? That's the thing. And that's one thing I laugh about liberals and all these people when they're like, I'm moving outside of the US. Like Rosie O'Donnell and what's her name? Ellen. Do you notice they're going to more white countries? They're not going to more diverse countries. They're going to the UK, Ireland, Germany, France. Like they're not even really going to like Portugal and Spain even. And it's like, yeah, you're going to whiter countries. Like so stop lecturing the rest of us. And I keep saying one thing, which is a funny thing, but it's also true. And start watching this. Start watching this. I keep saying I wanted to be something as much as liberal white women want to be Native Americans. Like all the shit they do. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put up a dream catcher and I'm gonna burn sage. Like they do all these, various Native American customs. And it's the Elizabeth Warren syndrome where they want to be Indians. They're cosplaying as Indians. And it's like, just stop. Just stop. It's pathetic, quite honestly. Um, I'm deleting some emails and stuff. But yeah, so it's funny. It's funny. Um, I haven't heard when they're expecting the government to reopen. Let me take a look and see if anything. And exactly what I said. It was a political shutdown. Like once there was no political advantage, or when the political advantages were used up, oh, then they reopened it. Um, so last night was a test vote to move the legislation, which got the 60 votes they need. So yeah, they're not done with all the votes they need to do, and still all that stuff has to go to. It's got to go to the president, which the president's going to sign it immediately. I have zero doubts of that. But Trump wants to have he wants to talk about healthcare. And I say, okay, fine. That's what the Democrats want. Like, let's have that discussion. The problem with Obamacare was there was no debate. It was rammed through. That was the problem with Obamacare. Like they should have there were Republicans who were willing to negotiate on Obamacare. They didn't want to negotiate on it. And that's why it turned into the boondoggle that it was, which was stupid on the Democrats' part because they wasted all their political capital that they had. And that's the thing. People were like, Trump's not a conservative. He is not a conservative. He is very pragmatic. It's that's where the Democrats are stupid. Like Trump will negotiate. He 100% will negotiate. He but Trump is also an alpha. I hate the term alpha male. He's very machismo, is what I'll say. He's very machismo. You start attacking him, he is going to attack you full throttle. Like I said many times, I knew so many guys in the military, mainly officers who were officers and senior staff NCOs who are like him, the beat on your chest type, and you're not going to tell me what to do. Once you learn how to deal with those guys, they're so easy to manipulate. The Democrats could be getting a lot of stuff through. But because many of these people have Trump derangement syndrome, all they want to do is fight Trump on every single thing. That's not how you like they you will get more with Trump just stroking his ego, like just stroking his ego, and he'll then give you what you want even if it's politically disadvantageous. Reopen, but it could take 11 days to open. Yeah, it could. I don't think it'll take that long. I don't think that it'll take that long. Just like how they were like, oh, Trump doesn't want to give back pay. If you look at what his statements, the people that he did reduction in force that he laid off, he didn't want to pay them back. He didn't want to pay them back pay. But he's even hiring those people back as part of this deal. So, do I think there'll be back pay? Yes, I do. I do. Again, been around enough. Yeah, I think it's gonna. Um, uh, and I have to laugh because now that this happened, you're not hearing anything of the Democrats with, "Oh, you got smoked in the election." Okay, uh, off year elections. I'm not talking about midterms. I'm talking about off year elections. That's where it's not a midterm and it's not a presidential election. Republicans do very bad in those traditionally. Yeah, did Governor Youngkin win? Did Jack Ciattarelli almost win 4 years ago? Yeah, but that was because of the local politics. Like mid-year, they can be a referendum on the midterm elections can be a referendum on the president, but really most times it's local. Only when the president's on the ballot is it really a national conversation. The midterms, even then, many times are local. So yeah, there like I never like when I was talking to people in the lead up to it, I said, "Look, I think Jack Ciattarelli has a chance. Beyond that," and I thought Jay Jones had a chance of losing. I said, "But it's a chance because what what matters more in those elections is turnout, way more than anything else." And yeah, so and Republicans have a shitty when Trump is not on the and when he's not on the ballot, the Republicans have a shitty turnout game, and they need to have a good turnout game because now with the liberals, because now all the liberals, their power center is older white people above the age of 60, so the boomers, what's left of the boomers. Those are what the people are, the hippies from back in the day, and for some of them, the yuppies. Those are the people. They're the left of center, the college educated whites. They are not MAGA. They are not MAGA at all. And those people are the ones with the power center on that side, and they're the ones guaranteed to vote. It used to be the older Republicans were the early stage boomers, the 1940s, 50s boomers, uh, who came of age then, where they were more conservative, but they've all, for the most part, died off. Uh, and that this is why, like when Obama was in when he came in, people were like, "The Republicans aren't going to get presidency for a generation." I was like, "Yeah, no, Democrats I'm sorry, demographics are always moving. It's a sliding scale, and you're seeing it slide right now." But the Republicans need, like the establishment Republicans, they think money is how you win elections, because that's the way it used to be. It is not. It is not at all. It is all about organization, ground organization for the Republicans right now, and they just haven't figured that out. Um, but you know, but an off-year election, I didn't expect much. I don't expect. I'll tell you this: I don't expect the mid-year to be a blue wave or a red wave. I don't expect it to be either. I think the Republicans will probably, as of right now, will probably keep the House primarily through gerrymandering. You have Texas, who is redistricting. Um, Indiana and Ohio, people are mad because they didn't go full blow, but they did redistrict. They're going to pick up a couple of seats. California, okay, right here, California, Democrats are complete bullshit when they say they're against gerrymandering. They just gerrymandered, and here, look at what they just had a vote to gerrymander. It passed, not even close. And what are they doing? They're breaking up Hispanic districts, traditionally Hispanic districts. Riverside, Hispanic area, they're cutting it in half. Central Valley, Hispanic areas, they're breaking that up because of all those Hispanics. I think it's a major mistake. They're doing it because those are people who voted for Trump. If I were a Democrat, Trump's not going to be on the ballot for most elections. So redesigning things based around an election that Trump was in, huge, huge mistake. Um, so I think I think the Republicans are right now, they're due to pick up probably 2 or 3 seats as it stands right now, but I can see North Carolina. Uh, North Carolina is going to redistrict, Missouri is going to redistrict, and Florida. Florida is the big one. They're probably going to get 4 to 6 seats out of Florida. So I think Republicans have a chance to pick up as many as 15 seats. It could have been more had Ohio and Indiana gone more full bore, but you still have a lot of, and I dealt with this in Ohio. There's still a lot of establishment Republicans who just don't get it. They think, you know, they've fought to keep people like Mike DeWine in power when really it's the voters. The voters are way more MAGA, way more JD Vance, way more MAGA. Uh, Vivek Vivek is going to win in Ohio because of how close he is to Trump. It's not even going to be close. Uh, Now you have some down ballot Republicans who are, uh, hey, good morning, darling. Down ballot Republicans who are uh, more establishment types. They're the problems in Ohio. They, I mean, they could have the seat that I grew up in um, is it Ohio 11th? Marcy Kaptur is um, she is um, the representative. She could be gerrymandered out. She absolutely could. They've made it more of a purple seat, but they could absolutely gerrymander her out. Um, J.R. Majewski, who I've had some conversations with. I'd love to have him on the show. He ran against her, almost won, but again, the establishment Republicans would not give him the money for the ground game. They wanted him to go with their buddies, and it's like you got to stop playing the money game. Like that is not what win. And you see, it's a reason why Arizona is not all Republicans. Like, it's because of Arizona and Ohio have a problem with these establishment Republicans who are trying to cling on to control, and it's just because they have the donors. What do I think of NYC? NYC is going to turn back into the New York uh, of John Lindsay and Bream, where you're going to see crime in New York City take off. It is going to take off. I would avoid me and my son were talking about maybe taking a trip to New York City this year before it gets bad. That we want to visit it and we want to see it before it really gets bad. But it's going to get bad. Like 1976 to 78, that bad. You're going to see crime rates that bad. Voting is selecting between two controlled sides. Better not do it to have a real impact. I disagree with that. Are you right that it's two controlled sides? Yeah, but that's because our local governments, our local and state governments keep it as a two-party system. And anyone who doesn't, if they start saying national step, no, it's happens at your state. You won't, if you want real change, start voting third parties in your local elections. That if you don't want a two-party system, that's how you do it. You start at your local levels. That's where you start giving these third parties more and more control. How fast will they recover? I don't see New York unless if they were to New York Mayor Ed Koch did a great job. He did a very hard job and got it on a path, but really Rudy Giuliani did the stuff that New York really needed to do. And you got to look, New Giuliani made New York safe for a generation. Like I remember I was in my teens in the early 90s when Giuliani was first elected. And within 2 years, the city was getting safer and getting cleaned up. Ed Koch did start that. He did start that, like, but he didn't do anything drastic. Rudy did very drastic, determined measures to make New York City safer, and it stayed safe through Bloomberg, and then it started sinking a little bit with De Blasio. This is going to be like De Blasio 2.0. If nobody partake into it, something is going to move. Voting show you sponsor the sick system. Well, you got to vote at your local elections. If you don't take part in it, it's not going to change. It's not going to change. It's going to keep going on because there are people who are very troublous. You can have a three. Well, right now the it's all designed against those third, fourth, and fifth parties. It is. It's completely designed against them in almost every state. There's a few out there. Like I would say, New York is actually one of the fairest. They have some of the fairest laws, but the problem is there's a lot of things like ballot stuffing that happens in like areas like Queens. That's why New York doesn't have change. Because there you still do have kind of a party hall system like Tammany Hall. You do have that. And we have that here in California. That's why I'm against term limits. You want third, fourth parties to do not select term limits. Term limits, I know everyone thinks, oh, well, it limits the party. No, it doesn't. It makes a party hall system where it's backroom deals as to who's going to be what position, and it literally becomes a shell game. And the haves retain the power because they understand how to manipulate the system. That's jungle primaries. I can't believe all these states are now moving to jungle primaries like Louisiana had. Louisiana politics has been notoriously for since the 1940s. It has been like notoriously cutthroat. And what did California? Oh, we're going to go to a jungle primary. It just makes it worse. Same thing with Alaska. It just makes it worse. Jungle primaries, not a good deal. Not a good deal at all. Is America safe overall? Yeah, America is safe overall. Especially the more you avoid big cities, the safer America is. People who, you know, who live in big cities, will tell you they're the ones who America's the worst country, and most of them have never been anywhere else. I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna turn on the song. I'm gonna go get some. I'm gonna go get some more coffee. So I'll be right back in just a second. If I can get my mouse over here. Why does it not want to? There we go.
Coffee brewing as the sun peeks through the haze. Birds are chirping, serenading morning's praise. Front porch creaks as dreams fade away. America's awakened to a brand new day. Old vinyl spinning a sweet old tune. Day starts dancing under a sleeping moon. Goose print smudges on fingers of grace. America's awakened at her own steady pace. Sips of sunshine.
Okay, I'm back. No voters, something going to change drastically? No, it's not. There's no proof of that whatsoever. In fact, more participation. And you saw that with, like when Trump lost in 2020. Do you guys realize he actually won? And I'm not talking about like the election like being stolen or anything like that. Trump won because down ballot there was a lot of MAGA people. It happened in 2020 and it happened again in 2022 with Governor Youngkin as an example. Because local this whole like MAGA thing of America first really resonates with people. The other thing is the things that the left was pushing, like uh, trans rights and all this stuff, regular people reject. Like, I don't want some dude in a dress in the bathroom with my kid. And you've now personalized the election when you're doing stuff like that. And what that did was it actually allowed a lot of MAGA candidates at your local levels, at your school boards, at your local city councils. That's where they got on. And if you look now, Trump is 100% in charge of the Republican Party, and it's because of that. Because when you get people like that elected to your local your local government boards, those become your precinct chairs, your state board chairs, and the, that's where they start deciding what candidates are going to get picked for your bigger stuff. So you saw a complete power shift. That's why McConnell was pushed out, was because Trump was able to win at the local level. And there's MAGA is still winning at the local levels. Yeah, I've seen it in Ohio now, and that's why Mike DeWine couldn't get somebody to run against Vivek. Um, to go, like, yeah, he got Jim Tressel to run for lieutenant governor, but no one cares about lieutenant governor. Um, who is it? Seth Mandel is running for attorney general, and he'll probably win. But the establishment Republicans, they don't have the power in Ohio that they held on to for a very long time. That they were able to keep the Tea Party away. So because Trump and MAGA were able to win at those lower levels, they're like the success has moved up. That's why Ronna McDaniel was pushed out. And so Laura Trump now is one of the leaders of the Republican Party. Scott Pressler, all these people who were very MAGA are now running things. And Trump is 100%, 100% the leader of the Republican Party. Even if had he not won the presidency, he would still be in charge of the Republican Party because of that. They won at the lower levels. So saying don't vote, there is no proof to show that patriotism is social nationalist ideology. No, it's not. It's not. Uh, uh, so people winning at the lower levels are what changes the way things are done. Absolutely. Absolutely, they are. Sadly, though, you get people like, we've had candidates for governor or for Senate in um, Minnesota because TC brought him to the show. I can't remember her name, but she came on. They have to run people and they have to get so many votes so that the Libertarian Party can stay on the ballot. That's why Jill Stein in 2016, that's why she sued in Michigan, because they were stuffing ballots in Detroit. Because they wanted Hillary to take Michigan. Well, there weren't enough ballots for them to stuff, because what they found out in Detroit is, they stuffed more ballots than there were actually people registered. So Jill Stein sued because it made her percentage lower. And she was like, no, the Green Party needs to be on the ballot. Do I take calls? If I have the thing up, I will take calls. I don't have it open right now. But I will take calls in the future, especially if you want me to. Like, and especially when we do it with TC. If you want to, TC will gladly have you on to his show too to debate. But yeah, you should always vote in your local elections, always. There wasn't any local elections for me that I would have voted in this last election, if there were more local elections. There wasn't much, but I knew that the California, the state thing of gerrymandering, that was going to pass. That was going to pass wholeheartedly. I knew it. I was like, that's really the only thing on there. Me voting this time is not going to be a big deal. Because, the Democrats, when they look at the stuff that they've in this state that they put their thing behind. I remember in 2014, it was the gas tax. They put a 20 cent gas tax, and it's going to pay for the high speed rail and all that stuff. Here we are 11 years later, hasn't done shit. Has not done shit. It just is a way for them to fund these shitty programs and waste money. That's exactly what it was. Want to move to small towns or mid-tier city, but I'm afraid I would face racism. You'll face racism anywhere you go, but the racism you're going to face, you're not going to get beat up. You might get people who, um, you might get people who just don't understand you and maybe avoid you. That's what if you face racism, that's what you're going to face. But you're not going to, you're not going to face people who are going to like try to attack you or anything like that. One thing um, would say, assimilate. You know, speak English. If you're Akash, I'm guessing that you can speak Hindi. Uh, don't speak Hindi around Americans. Black, white, it doesn't matter. Speak English around them. That will be the first thing. Because if you speak another language, it's going to create a barrier, and you don't want to create a barrier. Uh, be if you want to be an American, come here to be an American. Wave the flag, learn about how our government works, learn about how our culture works. People who come here to assimilate and be a part of America, by all means, come here and be a part of America. The problem is, we've had a lot of people who've come here who don't want to be a part of America. They want to change America, or they want to be isolated in their community and only speak Spanish or only speak Hindi. No, you can't do that. You have to be open to the way we do things. And if you don't want that, why would you even want to come here? You know, you should, if you don't want to be American, you should stay where you're at and try to make where you're at a better place. I think MAGA people should travel the world to get educated. It would lower the political tension. I I'm MAGA, Garvel. I've traveled the world. I've lived in a Muslim country. I lived in a country where I did not speak the primary language. I've I've traveled all around your country. I've been to Munich several times. I've been to Ulm. I've been to Schwabia. Like, I've been around your country. I've been to the UK. I've been to Moscow. Okay, and I am MAGA, and I'm telling you, MAGA people, um, they are like they're a lot of them, like most Americans, are not don't travel outside of the US. The whole thing of liberals travel outside of the US, bullshit. Bullshit. I live in Southern California. Most liberals who've traveled outside of the US have only been to Mexico. Like 95% of them. If you move to a small town, don't expect them to adopt your culture. Absolutely. You should expect to, if you're going to move to anywhere in America, you should try to adopt the local culture of where you're moving and be a part of that. You know, I grew up not far from Dearborn, Michigan. I knew a lot of Muslim cultures cultures and traditions. I went to school with Muslims. I had no problem with them. So when I got to a Muslim country, I wasn't worried about it. Not at all. You have to have I wasn't trying to change their culture at all. I had respect for their culture and was like, I'll learn about what you guys do because I live here now. And that's, I the we are one of the countries, when you look at the polls, Americans, more so than a lot of other countries, are perfectly fine having a neighbor who is from a different culture. We're okay that you have your culture. Just don't expect us to change our culture for yours. I think of a mid-tier city, I can speak English and assimilate, but do I have the freedom to celebrate our tradition and festivals? Yeah. Yeah, no one's gonna if 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 you're gonna have a Diwali party, no one's gonna have a problem with it. But if you start telling Americans that what Americans do is wrong, that's when you're gonna have a problem. But Americans are very accepting. I've got there's a guy here, he's a business owner, he's very smart, very smart. He's from, India. I've spent a lot of time with him. I've bought him dinner, he's bought me dinner. He's from India. His wife is from India, arranged marriage. He lived in South Africa for many years. He still has businesses in Africa, all around Africa. He owns several hotels here. And I was talking to him about things I thought, would make his hotels better. Uh, and he's very successful. Even though we have chain hotels here and his are smaller, he does a better job and makes more money than those bigger chains here. Um, because he he understands that he's in a local community. We have a local culture here. And he tries to embrace that culture and he does very well. Yeah, I'll celebrate you, but will you celebrate with me? Like if you come in and you're like, there's a nativity scene during Christmas on the city hall. I don't like that. That's where it's going to be a problem. But if you were to say, "Hey, we're going to celebrate Diwali, and we'd like to do it in the city square," no one's going to have a problem with it. No one is going to have a problem. You might find those ones or twos, but for the most part, everybody's going to be completely fine with you as long as you're not trying to change how we do things. And that becomes the issue is we have people who come here who want us to change our culture, and it's you're fighting an uphill battle. And I don't understand MAGA because for me they show only the worst of the USA because of the German history. I could never vote for alternative for Germany, which is Nazi speech, and Trump too. Trump does not use Nazi speech, Garville. Uh, that is what the media is telling you. Here's what I will tell you. Watch Trump's speeches for themselves. Don't watch what the media is telling about you, because especially with international media, I will tell you, having lived internationally, they will only give one side. And I saw that for myself watching Reuters and the BBC. They're not giving all sides. I can tell you that right there. How can a righteous man ignore that? Trump does not use Nazi speech. No, he does not. Um, anyone telling you that is not. They're not going to show you what Trump has actually said. They will show you bits and pieces of what Trump says. Don't want to live in a big city because I'm born and brought up in uh, Bel- Bengaluru, a big city in South Indian city. I will tell you, I knew a guy who he lived in Bangladesh, and when he was talking about coming here to the U.S., I told him to work for. You could work in. I told him get a job in government or get it in a job in the tourist industry because he could speak three different languages. That is a skill. Okay, that's a skill because we always need interpreters. So I told him if you come to the U.S., get a job where first off you can get a job where you can be an interpreter. That will absolutely do you well. Government and tourism, absolutely. They're always looking for people who can speak multiple languages. And there you're getting paid for just something that you can do. But if you were to come to the US, you'd probably be very successful because you'd see how easy it is to start a business. And yeah, like if you started a business, you'd be, um, I don't know. You're writing in German. I don't know what that means, Garville. Um, yeah, if you start a business, you probably find like it's easy to be successful in the U.S. And language was created to divide. Well, if you believe the Bible, yeah, yeah. If you're a Christian or a Jew, yeah, that's what the Tower of Babel. You know, that was what how God punished. Give them multiple languages so they can't communicate. But we do that with a lot of stuff. Like we should not be. I think we're to the point now where we don't need time zones anymore. We should be. Uh, we should be using Zulu time. There should be no reason for us to, because now we have the internet. We communicate globally now. I'm massively critical of Trump, and I'll never accuse him of being a Nazi. His problem is narcissistic personality disorder and the danger of populism. He's definitely narcissistic, absolutely. But I think everybody who runs for president is narcissistic. I see Coop is on right now. So I'm gonna end this up. I'm gonna end this, but I'm gonna do a redirect before we go. But yeah, I'll agree. I voted for Trump. I think Trump is great. He's narcissistic. Absolutely, he is. Um, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Um, but it's you. The Democrats are dumb for not taking advantage of that. I will say that they are really dumb for not taking advantage, and just you should feed his narcissism. All right, guys, I got the redirect on. I'm going to go ahead and end this. This is going to take us over to Georgie and Coop. I'll be over there watching. Thank you guys for everything, for all your comments. Akash, feel free to reach out to me. I've got the email is veterannation at protonmail.com. And I'll be back on here tomorrow. I've also got a phone number in there where I can be reached at. Your religion teaches you about karma and being kind to others and coexistence with other religions. Yep, very true. I know more than the average American about your religion because I've studied other religions. So I understand Hinduism, and I also understand Sikh and Taoism. So yeah, I've studied those, not in depth, but just enough to understand them. But we're gonna go over to Georgie and Coop. So redirect and make sure you let them know it's a Veteran Nation raid. Thank you guys, and as always, thank you for being worth serving.